Hello, my beautiful people. Today we are making the best chicken stew you would have ever tasted. And also, I'm going to show you how I make this stew step by step. No assumptions, full details, like everything well explained. Please, if you're new to my channel, please subscribe, help me grow. This stew is so good. You can use it for your bread, yam, rice, whatever you like. So for the stew base, this is what I have. Is a combination of different peppers and tomatoes. So this is paprika peppers. So you get as many of them as you can get. So this is paprika. I have the chili peppers. You also call them oshombo. This is oshombo or chili peppers. I have the Scotch, that's red bell peppers as well. I have the Scotch bonnet, also known as habanero pepper or Rodo. So this one is the one that really has it's really hot, so you need to use as much as you can tolerate or what your family can tolerate. So I have onions, I have some tomatoes, I have garlic and ginger, 1 head of garlic and a little bit of ginger. So your combination of your peppers is really about what your family can tolerate, but the really hot one is the Scotch bonnet, so you need to be very, very careful with that. And also try to use more peppers than the tomatoes. It helps to make sure that your stew is very red. So here it says everything has been washed. Pay attention to the red bell peppers and the paprika because the seeds inside can really be bitter. You need to take off the seeds completely. So I'm just breaking them into pieces to help the blender blend properly. So with this one, I am not roasting like I do in some of my stew, like I did in the fish stew. I am going to blend as usual, like the way we usually do, not the roasting part. So these are the tomatoes and the peppers. This is the onions. I have cut them into 4 just to help the blender. So this is the paprikas. I've carefully washed them, taking off all the seeds inside because they are really bitter and they will introduce a bitter taste to your stew and you don't want that. So carefully take them all off. And also with the red bell peppers as well, take off all the seeds in them. And then you go ahead and blend. Add a little water to help your blender. But if you have those very extremely strong blenders, you may not need to add so much water, maybe just a little bit. So I just add in some water and blend smoothly. You need to blend very, very smoothly for this stew. So here I go, blended it really smoothly. Then turn into a pot. So I'm using non-stick pot because I don't want this to burn. It easily burns, really. So I just went ahead to blend the rest of my peppers and put on fire to dry. So here is the chicken that I'm using. So it's hard chicken and it's whole chicken. You can also use chicken parts, and also I believe you can use other chicken, but hard chicken will be the best for this stew. So I'm just here adding the ingredients, which is ginger and garlic. I just blended it up. I have some bouillon cubes, like your seasoning cubes, your chicken seasoning. I'll write it all out in the description. Chopped onions, curry powder, thyme, rosemary, and salt. So guys, you really need to season your chicken. Remember, it's a chicken stew and your chicken needs to really be tasty. One of the secrets of making a very tasty chicken is salt. But if for any reason, health reasons, you're trying to eat less salt, please do eat less salt. Don't put so much salt. But if not for that, you need to properly season this chicken and add salt. Then combine and put on the heat for 10 to 15 minutes. Don't add water yet so that it's gonna cook like to simmer in its own water. So after about 10 minutes, this is what you have. Then you can go on to add more water to cover the chicken. Remember, we need this chicken broth to cook the stew, so you add some more water to just cover the chicken, and that will be it. Leave the chicken to cook until it's soft as you like. So I think I cooked mine for like 40 minutes, but the truth is the only way to know is by bringing out one of the chicken, cut out a little piece and taste it. So you can do that from time to time, just bring out one, cut and taste. So I also have tasted the chicken broth and it's not as tasty as I want it to be, so I added a little more salt to it. So here is the pepper mix that I put on fire to dry. So this is what it looks like now after about 30 minutes. So you need to keep watching because it can easily burn and you don't want it to burn. When it's cooking, you don't need to turn, just pour the pepper mix in the pot and leave it. You don't turn it at all till it's fully done. So after about 40 minutes, this is my chicken. My chicken is ready. The chicken broth is very tasty. So here I am, I'm frying my chicken. But you can grill your chicken, you can fry your chicken. But because it's already a fried stew anyway, so well, I can as well fry my chicken. But you can do any of those things. It's also quicker when you just throw them in the air fryer or in the oven and do other things. So but here I am frying my chicken. Don't fry it too dry, you need it to be juicy. Don't fry your chicken too dry. So here, that same chicken oil, the oil you used in frying the chicken is what you'll be using to make the stew. You just need to sieve out those particles, just sieve into your pot. I am using my toughest pot for this stew. It's a tough one. All right, so in the heated oil, you add in your onions and let it fry for about 2 minutes or till it's translucent. Now going with the blended pepper mix or your tomato mix and fry for about 5 minutes. Then you go ahead to add the tomato paste. Yes, I'm using tomato paste, but it's very optional. If you don't want to add the tomato paste, you can do without it. It just helps the stew to get even more red, like what you get in restaurants or bulkers and all that. But you can totally do without this tomato paste, especially if you don't trust the tomato paste. I use a very high grade of tomato paste, which I kind of trust, but you can really do without it. So you add in the tomato paste and continue to fry for at least another 10 minutes. Then you go on to add in some of your seasoning. So because it really seasons the chicken properly, you don't add so much seasoning here. All you need to add here is maybe some chicken seasoning or your bouillon cubes, or there's this aromatic seasoning that I like. Just add in just little seasoning at this point. You don't need so much seasoning at this point. Remember, you've added in some curry, thyme, ginger, garlic paste and all that in your chicken while cooking, and that same broth you'll be using it for the stew. That is the reason why you need to make that broth very tasty, because you're using it for the stew. So now this is where the work is. You need to continue to fry this stew. Like, keep frying this stew. You have to fry this for at least, it takes for about 40 minutes, but I can't give you a particular time because the quantity of the stew is what really determines this. But you need to keep frying. So here I'll add the seasoning that I just mentioned, and then continue to fry the stew. So initially, when you start frying this stew, it may take you like 4 or 5 minutes before it will need another turn. So you don't let it burn. Don't let the stew burn. So it takes around 4 or 5 minutes before you need another turn, and that time will continue to reduce. Before you'll be needing maybe like 2 minutes, then it needs another turn, then 1 minute, then it needs another turn, and then 30 seconds it needs another. The time that you need for you to turn it will keep reducing because the water is drying up, and you have to leave the pot open. Please don't cover the pot. You need the steam to keep going out. You need them to keep evaporating. Don't cover the pot. Just keep frying. It will get to a time that you can't even step out of the stew, or it starts to burn almost immediately. Then you are there. So just keep frying. At this time, you can see what it looks like. We are there, almost there. I can't really step out of this place right now, and I'm just standing in front of the pot, because if I step out for 10 seconds, it's going to burn. That's when you know that you have properly fried this stew. That's the easiest way to know. Look at the oil is also on top. Some people can say you can use that to know, but I think it's really about the fact that you can't even step out of that place. You know that is really, really dry. Then you go in with your chicken broth. So the amount of chicken broth you'll be using here depends on how thick or loose you want your stew to be. And also the best way to do this is to add small. Don't add too much at a time, because you may overdo it and you will regret it. So you just add a little, you turn, you check the consistency. If it's still too thick for you, you add a little more. So you add the broth, you check it, and you can add more. I think I added it about 3 times. So I turn, I check, So you do this and let this cook for at least another 5 minutes. Chicken broth in the stew to cook from 5 to 10 minutes before you add in your chicken. So with that chicken, you need that chicken to cook properly in the stew. Everything needs to come together, like combine together. So I still added some more chicken broth at this point. So I just, like I said, check the consistency, and I was happy with it. Then went ahead to add my chicken. So when you add your chicken, turn the fire to low, low heat will be better, or medium heat but not high heat, so that the chicken and the stew can combine together and marry each other very well. Yeah. So low heat, if you think it's still too thick at this point, you can still add a little more of your chicken broth. So at this point, you taste your stew. Does it need a little more salt? If you notice, guys, I didn't add any other salt in this stew. The only salt I added was when I made the chicken, because it's very important for that chicken to be tasty. So I didn't even need to add any more salt while cooking the stew itself. With the chicken broth, it was already very tasty. I didn't even add more salt. And try to use just the chicken broth, no water. But if you run out of chicken broth, like you didn't have enough, of course you can add some water, but it's best to just use only chicken broth. Guys, this stew is perfection. Try it and see. This is the best stew you would have ever made. So you can cover it at this point where you've added the chicken, keep it on low heat, and then cook it for like 10 minutes. Open the pot and add in some spring onions. I use spring onions, especially the greeny part of the spring onions, just to give it a little more flavor, and garnishing as well. But you can do without it if you don't have. Guys, please, I beg you in the name of God, subscribe to my channel, share, like, whatever thing you can do to help me to continue to grow and to motivate my hustle. Thank you for watching. If you have watched up to this point, you're really an MVP, and I appreciate it. So go on and enjoy this stew. You can use it for rice, you can use it for your yam, plantains. I served mine with some rice, with plantain and mix of vegetable as sides. It was really very delicious. Whenever I make this stew, everybody in the house eats and eats and eats. Like the kids love it. My husband likes it. It's really a super one. You need to give it a try. Thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe to my channel. I appreciate. Whoa, take a look at that stew. It's beautiful. It's so red, you know. It's just really gorgeous. Served with some rice, some fried plantain and mixed veg, and broccoli, carrots, and mixed peppers, and a whole lot of things going on there.